Hello and welcome to the Sky Blue Times YouTube channel. Today we're going to be looking at Jeremy Doku, who's coming off a significant amount of minutes in the Club World Cup, a lot of good performances throughout that competition, a lot of good moments across those games, and a player that coming into the tournament, I think some people were sceptical how his season would play out. Based off the previous two, I think there's a lot of people that are very optimistic, like myself. I'll go through in this video where he's going to need to improve to meet the demands of the team, the expectations that are really placed on him because of his genuine ability, because of his talent, and what other people are looking for, and the kind of like criticisms around his game, where he can find his route forward as a player, as a winger, and if he wants to be a consistent starter. And before I go into the kind of like main points that I'll touch on later on, I think it's worth mentioning that across the first two seasons that Jeremy Doku has had, he's had an injury record that's been hit or miss, that has come at really inconvenient times for him to string together consistent performances across the first two seasons. At the very least, to get consecutive 90s over and over and over and over, build those relationships with his teammates on the pitch. And I'd say definitely towards the end of the second season, last season, you saw somebody that was more consistently available, but then is still waiting to build up that trust with Guardiola that he can do consecutive 90s week in, week out. So that is very much a process for him. But it's not a concern that I have any more going into next season compared to what I did have at the start of last season, where I think it was a real genuine question mark over his fitness. Whereas I think by the end he's proven that he is in good shape, or at least he's had a very good run of late, and looked kind of really, really robust considering the demands, the full 90, the pressing, get up and down the pitch, the amount of attacking output that he has to do. I think he's alleviated a lot of those concerns, but it's still something to bear in mind as we go into the next season. So I'd say the very first thing to touch on is off the ball, what Jeremy Doku does. And if you go through all the games, you'll definitely see a player that can time jumps really, really well when he presses, and you can also see a player that does get caught out sometimes, not reading that jump at the right time. It's worth bearing in mind that in the Premier League season, last Premier League season, he was averaging 3.75 ball recoveries per 90, and he was on 0.77 possession won in the final third per 90. Now, if you compare that to the Club World Cup tournament, obviously small sample size, but what we have seen is his ball recoveries 5.12 per 90, and then his possessions won in the final third 2.2. And part of that will be the way that the teams change, although we've had a poor performance in the end against Al Hilal. Across that tournament, you have seen improvement in the way that City do press and the way they are set up out of possession, even though some people will be criticising. I think it's more to do with there's such a high standard for them to reach, and then you're kind of missing the progress that was made. So for me, a lot of kind of good moments in there. Now, this one that you're seeing on the screen here, there was just a moment from the match against Wydad where Jeremy Doku did have a chance. Ryan Cherky did very, very well, chasing down the goalkeeper, forcing him into an error. He makes a short pass over here. Jeremy Doku's coming from behind, and he's very slow to react, and he still manages to actually get the ball and eventually get a shot that he really should score from. But it's this the earlier thing I wanted to mention first, that he needs to react better in these situations. He needs to be reading these situations well, and anticipating them so that he's in a better position. And you'll see that across games, that there are moments where he's there, he's watching, but he doesn't read it correctly, and then he's too late to jump. And when you're a player with such an incredible turn of pace like he does, as Guardiola says, he's the best player over the first 5 yards. You need to be able to match that up with good anticipation, to utilise it the best that you can do. And this is something that he doesn't, situation that he doesn't score from. And then that leads me to the second point on this, which is you need to be clinical when you do get these moments. And when we look at some of the best wingers in the world, in the best form that they're in, it's a real standout from that, is that these guys are deadly when they get their moments. And for Jeremy Doku, he may have a game where he's not getting loads and loads of chances, but if he gets a moment like this in a game where we turn the ball over high up the pitch, he has to take that opportunity. So yeah, that would be things. Reading that press a little bit better, better anticipation, and then being more deadly in these situations as we look ahead to next season. And we move across to the match against Al Hilal, and this brings me to my next point when it comes to out of possession, defending out of possession, and that is having better relationships with your teammates on the pitch, and then supporting those teammates in an improved way. So in this one, Al Hilal do a very good job of dropping Neves into the back line, spreading the distances really, really wide. So you have to really come out, and then that opens up, spreads the team, gives Al Hilal more space to be able to play into. Doku reads the pass over, comes over to press, goes over to Cancelo. Cancelo in this, if you watch it back, fakes the initial pass. So Doku's come in and he's jumped, and then he plays the pass down the line. You then see Aït-Nouri follow with the winger, too tight on the inside, made a bad mistake there to be able to get spun, and then the guy's then just able to move across and drive. But what you will notice in this situation is you've got Cancelo next to Jeremy Doku there, and then when you look at this one here, you've got Cancelo on the overlap, Aït-Nouri turn inside out, Gundogan comes over to support, Jeremy Doku follows up, but he's not supporting either of his teammates in any way there. So if we're talking about Doku who's switched on to the fact that Cancelo's made that run and he's able to put him off and slow him down, that would be very, very beneficial to stop that run going on there. And then when we play it further forward, he's not somebody that's got back to support. Gundogan's obviously somebody we expect to be out the lineup next season, and be out the squad. Really, he should be, because he lacks all this kind of physical stuff. But when it comes to Jeremy Doku, he's got it in abundance, and he's not here supporting there. Let's say he gets back and he's wrestling with this ball carrier. It means Aït-Nouri could pick up Cancelo over here. He's free. Or he's the one getting back and tracking Cancelo himself. So then when we get to this situation over here and we've got Cancelo wide open for a cross, Jeremy Doku's free where he could have been stopping that pass, or at the very least in a position to battle with Cancelo and make sure that cross didn't come in first time like it did. So that kind of situation down his left-hand side, City's left-hand side, the relationships with those teammates, knowing how to adjust when that press is being broken, and then support that you're offering them going back, has to be an improvement that Jeremy Doku does make off the ball when we're going into next season. And then this image is really does sum up a lot of what people notice with Jeremy Doku, which is that immense ability 1v1. There's a lot more to his game, particularly as a ball carrier. Is at a level beyond what most wingers will ever reach in their career, as well as in the take-on aspect. But what Guardiola's spoken about in the first couple of seasons with Jeremy Doku, and we've seen that improvement, in my opinion, in last season, is that he's so fast going through these situations that when he arrives into the box, you need to be able to slow down mentally, be cool, and then make that good pass. And obviously, when we're looking at City last season, there was a lot of issues with having enough players in the box, and that's something that I expect the team to rectify, and we've seen that difference already in moments across the Club World Cup. But for Jeremy Doku's own angle himself, he needs to be thinking about, when I get into that moment, I need to be cool, calm, slow down, and pick out that nice killer pass. And that's one thing. Or what we need to be doing is what we saw against Aston Villa, which is you may not necessarily see Matheus Nunes coming around at the back post, but you're going to hit the ball with good weight on it into a very dangerous area, and then you leave that with your teammates to get on the end of it. And we've seen that from Nunes when he's coming across himself to make those crosses. He will fire it across the 6-yard box in a dangerous position, well weighted, and it's on his teammates to make those runs. So for Jeremy Doku, it's depending on where he's getting into the box, it's being able to slow down, be cool, be calm, make that pass, which I think we see a lot of improvements in that last season, and then it's also hitting it into a dangerous area. And when you go back and look at some of the assists that Mohamed Salah had last season, not all of these are Salah going, I'm picking out this exact player. It's I'm putting this into a very dangerous position on the back post, and either Diaz or Gakpo should be there. That's their responsibility, and that's the thing for Jeremy Doku is hitting those 2 points there when it comes to arriving in the box and making that final pass. Then if we move on to shooting, so if you see here, this is on your on the left side of the screen for me here. is the 23-24. Over on the right side over here, this is the 24-25 season, which is last season, for a few metrics. So measured in percentiles, and then I put up the per 90s for all these different ones. As you can see, significant drop in shot volume for Jeremy Doku from last season, from his first season to his second season at Manchester City. And then with that shot volume dropping, you obviously then have less shots that are on target, so then that becomes a problem. And then when we're looking at non-penalty XG per shot, the non-penalty XG per matches that he's got, we're seeing a drop in the total XG he's getting across that match. And then when we're looking at goals, similar kind of level. So that's something I would straight away be looking at with Jeremy Doku, is I need to increase this shot volume. And you saw more of last season, him looking to arrive into the box and then make those passes to a teammate, and not looking so much for his shooting opportunity. Then you're becoming a player that is a lot more simple to be able to read, and something that we'll get onto a bit later is the crossing. But if you're talking about and thinking about Jeremy Doku shaping up 1v1, a lot of the time doubled up, they're blocking a route for him to go inside, and then forcing him on the outside. So it's going to need the team to be able to support him and draw those players away, to be able to create space for Jeremy Doku to move inside, and we've seen that in glimpses in the Club World Cup. So that is one aspect to it, and then the other is that he himself has to take these opportunities when he does have them to move inside, to be able to cut inside, take a shot inside the box, or whether it is when he bursts along the box to be able to take a shot from just outside the box. But at the moment, it's a player that the volume's dropped, and then it's going to be no surprise that you're going to struggle to get goals if you're taking so few shots in a game. It's really just as simple as that. And when we were looking at the Club World Cup data, again, small sample size, but he's gone, so looking at last season, 1.72 per 90. In the Club World Cup, he's at 4.76 per 90 for shots. And then you look at last season, 0.353 per 90 for shots on target. In the Club World Cup, he's on 2.2 shots on target per 90 at the moment. So when you're thinking about why Jeremy Doku is performing well in the Club World Cup and has got some plaudits for his performances, one aspect of that is because his shot volume is up. That's having him more involved, and it's resulting in the goals as well on top of that. So yeah, we have to carry that forward into the new season. So these are two of the shot cards. So this would be Jeremy Doku from the 23-24 season, 3 goals. That's his average time to shoot, 4.3 seconds. Well worth following this account. Absolutely excellent when it comes to all sorts of different stats, graphics. Yeah, definitely check him out. Great account, great follow. 55 shots here, 3 goals. You'll notice all 3 goals are Jeremy Doku coming inside to the box and being as close as he can to the goal. And then when we move it over to last season, a little bit longer to take his shots, 3 goals. And then you're looking at that shot volume come down. You're looking at how much more sparse that shot card is. You're looking again, 2 of these goals here. One where he's moved in alongside the edge of the box and managed to lace that shot. But yeah, his majority of his goals are going to come from if you're able to get Jeremy Doku inside the box, in towards the middle of the box in more favourable positions. Now this is a shot quality analysis. Again, similar to the other one, it is a load of their shots. This is as an example, so we can kind of go off Mohamed Salah from last season, an outstanding season individually. Again, another account that's well worth following up here, that provides all these brilliant stats and graphics. But if you look here, so this is breaking down the quality of the chances based off the XG, low, medium, high, and excellent quality here. Mohamed Salah's spread all the way across, so it's not somebody that's getting all of their goals because they're excellent quality. He is converting across the different ranges of quality chances, but he's getting these excellent quality chances because they're in the middle of the box, they're inside the 6-yard box. This is not somebody that's cutting in on the edge of the box, getting into here, and then is converting loads and loads and loads of these low quality chances. Football can be a lot more simple than people kind of portray it to be. And so when you're thinking about scoring more goals, particularly for your wingers, for your wide forwards, you need to get them into better positions in the box for when they take those shots and increase the volume of those chances. So when it comes to Jeremy Doku, when we move over to his one-shot quality, you'll notice the goals that are in the middle of the box, as we mentioned, and then all these spread of low quality chances on the outside. He's converting a good chunk of these low quality chances, to be fair to him, but you think the shots on medium high quality, and then obviously no extremely high quality chances here, 8 shots here, 3 shots there, and then 80 in the low quality shots, and that is across the last 2 seasons for Jeremy Doku. So there you go. You need to get him more high quality chances. You need to get him into the middle of the box to take those shots, and you will see the improvement when it comes to Jeremy Doku's goal output if you're able to do both of those. This is shooting angle, just a different kind of look at it, and what you'll notice that Jeremy Doku's goals are in these ranges here in terms of the angles. So you're not somebody that's going straight on a goal. He never really gets to that point. You think if he's cutting inside into the box or he's moving along the edge of the box, he's never really getting into the middle position. So if you look at the game against Juventus and the way Doku was moving, given more freedom by Guardiola to move inside, we might see more shot volume come from in the middle of the pitch when he gets the freedom to do that, if we do see that in the new season. But he's not somebody that curls the ball the very best. So when you're looking at these more tight angles, it's not really a surprise to me that he's not converting a ton of these chances. It makes sense why you would have him here, because you're looking to get him into the middle of the box. That's a good angle, and then on the edge of the box, it's at a good angle for him to be able to lace the ball. So yeah, I think curling is something that he's going to work on, hopefully across the season, curling round into the far post a lot better. But when it comes to really striking through the ball, lacing it, he's really good at that, in my opinion. It's just back to what we just mentioned, which is getting him more shot volume in the middle of the pitch, high quality chances. That is what we need to do if we want to see the goal output of Jeremy Doku increase. And then this is another set of percentile graphics that I put together for you. You'll notice, again, outstanding numbers, underlying numbers when it comes to shot creating actions, goal creating actions across both seasons, expected assists per 90 across both of those seasons at Manchester City, passes into the penalty area, very, very good. And then it brings me to the crossing aspect, and that is something that I think is worth mentioning. So I said at the start about Jeremy Doku facing up one player, two player, very much last season looking to beat a man to the byline and then get inside and make those cutbacks. He's not cutting inside to the box to take a shot as much as he used to, and it coming along the top of the box to take a shot as well. But he's also not cutting onto his right foot to make these back post crosses in as much volume as he used to. And then even in that first season, you're looking at these numbers, they still should be higher, in my opinion. And that is another tool that I'd love to see Jeremy Doku add to his game to make him more threatening as a player that is coming in on that left side. You have that option of Erling Haaland that likes to attack the back post, but if you can't provide consistent deliveries to that, then that is your problem to work on. You've got an excellent player there that would be able to score from them. He has to improve at the end of the day. And if you're just looking at, so you can see there last season, 0.36 crosses into the penalty area per 90, 3.5 per 90 for total crosses in a game. If I looked at other wingers in the Premier League, Anthony Gordon, 0.63 crosses into the penalty area per 90, one of the best for wingers. 4.85 crosses per 90, so the volume again higher than Doku. And then Bukayo Saka, one of the best wingers in the world, 0.63 crosses into the penalty area per 90, same as Gordon. And then the cross volume, 6.09 crosses per 90. So just the volume aspect for Jeremy Doku when it comes to the crossing needs to go up. And if you're going to add that to his game, so along with somebody that can cut to the byline, along with somebody that can cut in and shoot himself, but is also able to move onto his right foot and cross it over to the back post. You add a lot more than a lot of tools to his arsenal when it comes to playing on that left wing. So that would be another area I'd be looking at for Jeremy Doku to make an improvement. And then brings me to really two of my favourite things from the tournament. So if you look here, this is again shots for Jeremy Doku across the last 2 seasons. 77 shots open play, 11 shots from a corner, 0 goals. And then set pieces again, 3 shots, 0 goals. So you've got something there that can really be tapped into. This is including all the corners, yet again, you're not getting stuff in the middle, you're not getting stuff at the back posts in the 6-yard box from Jeremy Doku. And that's something that you'd expect them to be able to prove on. That's a big hole there. You've got somebody that's so strong, that's so athletic, explosive, yet when it comes to corners, he's not utilised at all. But then when we got to the Club World Cup, we saw this in the very first game. Very, very smart. Have Jeremy Doku on the back post. We did see in another game Echeverry given the same role, but Doku's really suited to this because he is athletic, because he is strong and explosive. If you have somebody in there in the space that is relied upon to anticipate and then burst into and arrive, then you get what you get for that goal where he comes in and scores from the back post. And we saw that continue across a few games. That's another area for Doku to add goals to his game, to be more threatening. And as I mentioned at the very start of the video, you're putting him in situations that are very, very favourable, that are very high quality chances if he's inside the 6-yard box for these headers, for these tap-ins that he's getting a touch on, and then making sure that he's starting from a distance out, so he's arriving with good momentum. So yeah, that's something I definitely would love to see going into the new season, to continue under the new set piece coach with James French, and that was a really welcome thing to see in the tournament. And then the other thing off the ball from Jeremy Doku was his runs when we were in possession, and we saw this in the first goal against Juventus. The ball moved over by Rodri to Ryan Aït-Nouri, and then Doku's then making that run into space himself. When he receives the ball, really, really good. Takes a first touch inside that takes the defender out of the game, and then is able to get a shot across the keeper on a stronger foot to the far post. And that position he's shooting from is right here in the middle of the box, which we mentioned throughout the video. It's about getting Jeremy Doku into great positions in the middle of the box to then use his ball striking ability from these more favourable positions. As we showed you with as we looked at with the Mohamed Salah graphic for his goals, most of them are coming from inside the box, in the middle of the box. So you've got to get Doku into these positions more often. So if the team is doing better movement around him, dragging players around, opening up space, that's one thing. If he's making better movement off the ball, like he did for this opening goal against Juventus, that's another aspect. And then if you're then adding to the fact that he's going to be a threat from set pieces at the back post, then that's another angle to his game, where you're putting Jeremy Doku in great position to score, in great positions to get high quality chances that he wasn't really getting in the first couple seasons at Manchester City, and that is where you would expect to see an improvement in his goal output specifically. And then the more that you become a threat in that regard, you're going to then open up other avenues to your game when it comes to passing into the box, because you're going to be treated differently, that they don't want to let you take a shot and be a threat in that regard. And then yeah, as I mentioned with everything with the crossing, that's an easy route for him to be able to provide more assists in his games if he can add that tool. And then the other thing I mentioned, which was when you're arriving in these when you're arriving in the box, if the team's going to do their job and add more players in there that are going to arrive in good moments with good momentum, more numbers, then you've got to do your job and be cool, calm with that pass, or you've got to do your job by putting the ball into very dangerous positions, flashing it across the 6-yard box and expecting somebody to make the good run there and have the good instincts as a striker, as a box crashing midfielder. So yeah, these are all the things that I think Jeremy Doku needs to work on, that we've seen significant progress from over last season, and then at the Club World Cup we've seen very, very promising signs. And these are all the things that I hope to see more of and him improve going into next season, and then we can then expect to see the kind of output that we'd like, which would be him in the Premier League looking at 15, 20 goals and assists quite comfortably, because he's tying together all of these things. So that has been the video on Jeremy Doku, everything he needs to do to improve. Let me know your thoughts down below.